On the 1st of July 2026, a new rule reached 4 New Zealand companies. From that date, they could not give their own retail arms a better deal, not better than the deal offered to their competitors. Sit with that sentence for a second. Somebody had to write a rule telling these companies to treat outsiders fairly, which means, before that date, they did not have to. That single rule contains almost everything you need to know about your power bill. New Zealand electricity is not really sold in one market. It is sold inside 4 companies that live on both sides of the trade. They are called gentailers, and the word is a joke that stuck. Generator plus retailer. Contact Genesis, Mercury and Meridian. They own the dams, the geothermal stations, and the wind farms. They also own the brands that send you an invoice. The electricity leaves one part of the business and arrives at another. The price it travels at is, in a real sense, a decision. This is not a conspiracy. It is a design. To see where the design came from, go back to 1998. That year, Parliament passed the Electricity Industry Reform Act. People still call it the Bradford Reforms, after the minister of the day. The old state power company was broken into competing pieces. 3 of them became Meridian, Genesis and Mighty River Power, which we now call Mercury. Local power boards were forced to choose. You could own the wires, or you could sell the electricity. Not both. That separation was the great achievement of the reform. It stopped a monopoly network from favoring its own sales team. But another door was left open. A company that generated electricity was allowed to retail it. The wires were separated. Generation and retail were married. Within a few years, mergers did the rest. By the early 2000s, a small group of vertically integrated companies dominated both ends. 25 years later, the picture had barely moved. Around 7 in 10 households still buy from those 4 companies, or from a brand one of them owns. Put a small independent retailer inside that arrangement. It has no dams. It buys wholesale electricity to sell you. It buys that electricity from the same 4 companies it is competing against. Its supplier is its rival. Its cost of goods is set by the people who want its customers. That is a strange business to be in. It also explains why independent retailers grew so slowly for 2 decades. Their market share crept upward while headlines announced dozens of new brands. Choice was real, structure did not change. Here is where the numbers become interesting. In 2026, the results were remarkable. One gentailer reported operating earnings of about $1.07 billion. That was the highest in its history. Another reported operating earnings just above $1 billion, up around 31%. Household bills, meanwhile, had risen again. Most people join those 2 facts as cause and effect. The truth is more interesting than that, and less comfortable. Look at where one of those record years actually came from. It rained. Strong inflows into the Waikato catchment lifted that company's hydro generation by about 31%. Water is free. Turbines are already built. An extra gigawatt hour of hydro is nearly pure margin. So a wet year is a profit year almost mechanically. That should be reassuring. It is not, because a wet year did not become a cheap year for households. Ask why, and you reach the heart of the thing. Retail prices are not set by this year's rain. They follow long-term contracts, network charges, and expectations about future dry years. The gentailer sells to itself at a price that reflects risk. The household pays a price built on that internal number. When rain arrives, the saving lands in the generation half of the company. When drought arrives, the cost lands in your half. Now the rule from 2026 looks different. The Electricity Authority did not ban vertical integration. It did something narrower and more revealing. It required the 4 big gentailers to offer fair hedge terms to independent retailers, the same terms they give themselves. A hedge contract is simply an agreed future price for electricity. It is how a retailer promises you a steady bill in a volatile market. If your rival controls your access to hedges, your rival controls your survival. Making that non-discrimination a legal obligation is an admission. For 28 years, the question had been left to goodwill. None of this makes the 4 companies villains. They were built by law to do exactly what they do. They answer to shareholders, and 2 of them are majority owned by the Crown. That is worth repeating slowly. The government is both the referee and the largest shareholder. A New Zealander can be annoyed at power prices and quietly benefit from the dividend. The idea worth keeping is a small one. In a market where a company sells to itself, profit and price are not separate. They are one lever viewed from 2 ends. Everything else, competition, switching campaigns, comparison websites, sits downstream of that. And one last fact, which almost nobody expects. The most profitable thing those companies did in 2026 was not raise a price. It was catch more rain.